Look, Lamar Jackson got the big contract in the offseason. He is playing winning football. The Ravens, one of the best teams in the NFL right now, sitting at 4-2. They've upgraded at wide receiver. Their defense is kind of like the Baltimore Ravens defense that we've known for the last 2 decades. Number 2 overall in total defense right now, the Baltimore Ravens defense. And Bray, we talk about it all the time. You know, does a good offense beat a good defense? Lions 3rd-ranked total offense. Ravens 2nd-ranked total defense. They come after the quarterback too. They can get you. This is going to be a big game for the offensive line of Detroit.
Hey, they definitely get off the quarterback as well. I mean, this is John Harbaugh. This is the nuts and bolts of what the Baltimore Ravens have been since he's been the head coach. They get after the quarterback and they play good defense. Hadn't been playing good defense really up until this year. Defense playing much better than I thought they would be. Lamar Jackson is playing well though. He's playing well. He's playing much better in the red zone. And we talked about it. If he hasn't had all these drops by these receivers who, for all these weapons that they added, the Odell Beckham, they added him, Rashad Bateman's back. You know, all these weapons that they're supposed to be in the wide spot, including Mark Andrews, these guys aren't playing ball for this guy right now. Zay Flowers, the rookie, is actually the only one playing ball on the offensive side. So, yeah, I'm not sold on the offense. I'm sold on Lamar. He's playing much better from the pocket, but that's another aspect that I think is going to have to change because he doesn't do the old things that Lamar used to do. He doesn't get outside. He's trying to pass from the pocket, and that's why I think he's vulnerable, especially with no run game in the defensive line of the Detroit Lions. You
know, they played a lot of close games, too. Yeah. I mean, 3 of their 4 wins were one-score games, and they lost a one-score game. If they should have won that Pittsburgh Steelers game, the game they lost 17-10, they should have won that game. So in 6 of their games, 4 of them were one-score games. They won 3 of them and lost 1 of them. But this is a football team that so much is expected of them because of the contract. I think it's kind of put up or shut up time for Lamar Jackson this year. And that's a crowded AFC. Baltimore's got to really find their way in this AFC, and they just haven't been able to do that over the last couple of years, but this is one of those years. I think, and we talk about Jim Harbaugh, this is a big year for John Harbaugh, too. Can he reclaim that AFC North Division? And right now they're at the top.
Yeah, they're at the top of the AFC North right now, and a large part of that is because the Cincinnati Bengals start off slow every year.
But
they start off slow this year, and guess what, man? You hit the nail on the head. They are coming, in words. They're on their way up to get the Baltimore Ravens. Ryan, I just took a quick snapshot of the games because I watched the Ravens a little bit, but not a lot. I've been watching the Lions so much, and I've been watching the 49ers and the Jets. Those are 3 teams that I'm really watching. They beat the Texans before the Texans really figured out who they were. They beat the Bengals barely when the Bengals were playing awful football. They beat the Colts. They lost to the Colts, who are not a good football team. They beat the Browns with no Deshaun Watson, and then they beat the Steelers. They lost to a Steelers team that we don't believe is a good team, and they're coming from London. When I look at that schedule, when I assess it like that, as opposed to Lamar Jackson, the star quarterback, and that defense of Ray Lewis and all the guys they've had in the past, when I just look at it this year and I look what the Lions have, the Lions should dominate this Baltimore Ravens team. I understand it's in Baltimore, but the Lions, in my estimation, are a much better team than the Baltimore Ravens are right now.
Hey, Gus Edwards and Justice Hill aren't going to kill you.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson's the guy you got to hold. And 2 years ago, I think they held him to under 60 yards combined on the ground, Lamar Jackson, when he was here in Ford Field. And, of course, we got beat by the bad call by the refs and, of course, the long field goal by Justin Tucker. That defense is for real, and that special teams. They get the best kicker in the game. If it's a 3-point game, man, it's coming down to it. They have the edge.
You talk about that defense, and obviously the Lions have so many resources in their offensive line. Look at what Penei Sewell has been able to do this year. 525 straight blocking snaps without allowing a sack. That is incredible. And I believe the 2 pressures that he allowed this year was when Taylor Decker was out, when he moved to the left side. This guy, we always saw, during draft time, and we keep an eye on Aiden Hutchinson and Walker and Thibodeau. With this guy, who do you keep an eye on?
Micah.
It's Micah Parsons. Look, this is a gold jacket right here. This guy right now is 22 years old, something like that.
23, just turned it.
He is on a track for a gold jacket. You have got yourself a rock star, my friend. And this guy, it starts with this guy here on the right side.
Definitely starts with this guy on the right side. And congratulations. He's expecting a second child. I do believe I did see that. He's expecting the second child. He's expecting a daughter, so congratulations to Big Panay. So you're talking about a guy drafted at 19, started playing at 20 years old when he got to Detroit Lions, man, and started figuring out. He is one of those studs. Ryan, when you're looking at the big guys on the edges, one on the ends, you're talking about the right tackle, left tackle. When they start getting those type of stats, whether it's Trent Williams and he doesn't have any sacks, or whether it's on the right side, Panay Sewell doesn't have any sacks, that means he is the man at his position. I said, okay, I saw it. Here we go. Let's go.
That's right. No doubt.
I said this 9 times.
Oh, not good stuff. Guys, let's go to the phone lines. Bring in Brian Wacker from the Baltimore Sun. He's a Ravens beat writer. Brian, thanks so much for the time, my friend. How are you?
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
Hey, Brian.
Absolutely. Look, it's the game of the week, and for us Lions fans, we're not used to being involved in the game of the week over the years, and this is the third time this year that the Lions are involved in this. I'm just curious, how the rest of the league, how the rest of the country views what's happening here in Detroit, because we're all pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I think, look, certainly the Ravens view them as, frankly, the best team that they have seen to this point in the season. And that's really all around, from obviously the Lions' potent offense to what is, a very, very good defense. The Ravens know, for example, going against that Lions offensive line will be very difficult with the running game. The Ravens running game, that is. So yeah, they have their work cut out for them this week, and they seem to be fully aware of that.
Definitely going to be a fun game, Brian. Before the season, I had this circled as an L for the Detroit Lions. Now I'm in a space where, man, it's anybody's game this coming Sunday. But my question is, how is that offense working with Todd Monken? I know Todd Monken was brought in this year, replacing Greg Roman, so that he can really get Lamar Jackson going, really kind of hold him down in the pocket. What do you think about what Todd Monken and Lamar Jackson have been able to accomplish so far this year?
Look, we've seen Lamar be more accurate than he's ever been at any point in his career. That said, this is a team that last week struggled to find the end zone, struggled in the red zone, even though they came into the game against the Titans as one of the best red zone teams in the NFL. They couldn't put it in the end zone. And of course, that's problematic against the Lions team that scores a lot of points. So, look, at this point of the season, 6 games in, they view the offense still as a work in progress. We asked Lamar Jackson about this yesterday. We asked John Harbaugh about this. They view this offense as not really clicking. Even Odell Beckham Jr. Has talked about that. Of course, he's off to a slow start in terms of production. So, to me, this is an offense really that hasn't really entire footing yet. Again, the offense is very different than it was in the past under Greg Roman. You mentioned Todd Monken. We're seeing a lot more motion, a lot more pre-snap motion, a lot more 3 and 4 receiver sets. We're seeing a lot of quick hitting stuff underneath. We're seeing Lamar get rid of the ball faster than he ever has. We've seen him get out of the huddle faster than he has, but it hasn't really materialized in terms of touchdowns. This is a team that is not one of the highest scoring teams in the league, when there was a lot of talk and a lot of hype coming into the season that this would be an explosive offense.
Yeah, sometimes those offenses do take a while to get going. Being in the NFL, I remember Rob Chazinski came to the Browns. It took us a minute to get going, maybe something to the tune of game 5 or 4. Last question for me, Brian. I want to ask you, when you look at the teams matchup, the Baltimore Ravens and Detroit Lions, what is it about the Detroit Lions do you think is going to bother the Ravens the most? And what do you think is about the Ravens is going to bother the Detroit Lions the most?
I think St. Brown's going to be a problem. And I think Jahmyr Gibbs is potentially going to be a problem for the Ravens. Those are 2 explosive players. Of course, the Ravens have one of the best defenses in the league. But again, they have not seen an offense quite as explosive as Detroit. On the other side of the ball, I think the Ravens defense is probably going to be the biggest problem for Detroit. I mean, look, this is an explosive offense. one of the best in the NFL versus one of the best defenses in the NFL, tied for the league in sacks. Of course, they don't have that traditional 10, 12, 14 sack pass rusher, but Mike McDonald and the Ravens have mixed it up on defense and caused a lot of confusion, and that's been a problem.
Talking to Brian Wacker from the Baltimore Sun. He is the Ravens beat writer. And Brian, so much talk about, the contract situation last year and into the offseason for Lamar Jackson. Finally got that deal. And you can argue that they're a couple of dropped passes away from being 5-1 and winning that game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. How is it going for Lamar Jackson and these, Zay Flowers and Odell Beckham Jr.? I believe we lost him. I think we lost him.
He'll come back.
He'll come back.
He was trying to move his phone, I think, and he probably hung up on us by accident.
Yeah, potentially. There we go. There we go.
There he is. I knew he'd be back.
Brian, I'll just repeat the question, I guess. Just, it feels like a big year for Lamar Jackson, too, on the heels of the contract. And you could argue that they're a couple of dropped passes away from being 5-1. That Pittsburgh game didn't really help him out. How is it going for Lamar Jackson this year, and if there is any added pressure since the signing of the new contract?
Yeah, we've asked about that. He says, look, there is no added pressure. But at the end of the day, to your point, you sign that sort of contract, and there is pressure to perform. And we haven't seen that kind of explosiveness that I think a lot of people would have expected coming into the season. Again, this is an offense that seems to be still finding its footing and trying to, be in sync. There's been a lot of miscommunications. They've talked about that. Odell Beckham's missed a couple of games. Rashad Bateman missed some action. So this is a team that's dealt with a lot of injuries, really on both sides of the ball, offensive line, secondary, and so forth. They're now about as healthy as they've been all year. So I would expect, at some point you've got to move past, trying to say, hey, we're just not in sync yet. Here we are, week 6. At some point, this has to click in a more explosive manner. And this week could be that week. We'll find out. Detroit is, as I said, one of the better defenses in the NFL.
Hey, Brian, let me ask you about John Harbaugh, too. Obviously, here in Michigan, we're big Harbaugh fans.
Say the least.
But this feels like a big year for John Harbaugh, too. Does it not? I mean, 16, 17 years, whatever it is, in Baltimore. We see it with Bill Belichick in New England. We see it with Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh. How much longer does it feel like that voice is fresh in Baltimore?
It's a great question. And, John Harbaugh is the third longest tenured coach in the NFL, behind Bill Belichick, behind Mike Tomlin. He's got a couple years left on his contract. Look, I think this is the point. They're at the point, really, where these next couple of years are critical. This is a team that spent more money on offense than any other team in the NFL this season. Of course, a lot of that has to do with Lamar Jackson's contract, but they brought in guys like Odell Beckham. They brought in Nelson Aguilar, a number of other high-priced players on the offensive side of the ball, on that offensive line, guys like Ronnie Stanley and so forth. So this is a team that has spent more money on offense than any other team in the league, and spent the second most money on both sides of the ball than any team in the league, behind just the Jets. So you spend that kind of money, the expectation is a championship. So this is a critical window, these next 2 years, for them to try to get that done. And if it doesn't happen, you do have to wonder, I think, about John Harbaugh's future beyond that point.
Definitely agree with you, Brian. This isn't a question. This is more of a statement. One of the things I miss about playing in the NFL is when you travel to teams, a lot of the cities having good food. And one of the things I miss about coming to Baltimore, man, that Harbor Light downtown, when they have all that seafood, all the seafood spots, kind of my ESPN zone and all that kind of stuff, man, that was one of my favorite trips. We couldn't wait to land and get to the restaurant and go back and have meetings just to go out and have a dinner at another restaurant. So I do miss that food in Baltimore.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with the seafood, of course, the crab cakes, the Old Bay, You know how it is.
Making me hungry.
There's plenty of look. You don't have to tell me. I often book my hotels based on what coffee shops and restaurants.
See, you get it.
To the stadium. So yeah, I get it. I get it.
That's the way to do it. Old vet right there. That's
Thanks,
a vet
Brian.
move right there.
That's a vet move.
Brian Wacker from the Baltimore
Appreciate
Sun.
you.
Follow him on Twitter at BrianWacker1. Thank you so much, sir. Enjoy the game.
Take care, man.
Thanks,
Brian,
guys.
thanks a lot.
You got it. That's great stuff.
What's Chris Berman call Baltimore? He calls it at the stadium. It's the giant crab cake.
Oh, the Giants, man. That food is so
That's
good.
great.